You're within an arm's reach. It's intense. There's always a moment of truth where they realize we know too much.
Do you know David Scott? I can't believe what this guy does. He sits down with murderers and looks them straight in the eye for his hit court TV show, Interview with a Killer. The new season premieres on October 25th, and I had a great conversation with David at CrimeCon that I cannot wait to share with you today. And if you like getting the inside scoop from the biggest names in true crime, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Now, here's David Scott.
Y'all dreamed it up, and you were like, okay, I'm gonna go into prisons and talk to killers.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
What was it like when you first did it?
the first one we did was a Texas case of a so-called honor killing of two teenage girls by their father.
Okay.
It's really just a chilling crime. His name is Yasser Saeed. It's a notorious case.
Are you not prepared today to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Texas requires you to do it behind glass. So it was a phone interview, which complicates things. But that was the first one. It was a bizarre experience. You cross over into this other world, really. And the first thing you see is a sign that says no hostages beyond this point. So that basically means if it goes sideways, there's no rescue, there's no relief. Most of these facilities are woefully understaffed. That facility in Texas, the ratio of inmate to guard was 40-1. As you know, the guards are almost always unarmed.
Right.
And they're supervising the worst
because
of
they
the
can't
worst.
have a gun on them because
That's
if
right.
somebody grabs a gun,
Exactly.
dead.
Exactly. So they're combustible places, and you can feel it.
You can feel it.
But it adds to the intensity. It adds to the challenge, and
I just feel like when I get into a prison, I can just smell.
yeah.
I mean, obviously it doesn't smell great, but there's a very distinctive institutional.
Yeah.
So when you get in there, how do you cope with like your own anxiety about being in there when you get in there?
Yeah, I mean, over time we've gotten better at it. We sort of dialed in, a sort of formula or methodology. But we hit the ground and we're already at like a 10 of intensity.
Yes, so you're just like, I gotta calm down. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we're trying to manage all the complications. You engage with these people, you never know what's going to happen. Texas requires glass between you, but many states do not. Most of the interviews we've done have been,
right
maybe
here.
like here. Well, there's always
Do
a
you
little
like-
tape. I always insist on a table between us.
Right.
It's kind of like the last line of defense.
Right.
But it's you're within an arm's reach. And,
Are you thinking about what could go wrong?
always, because our show is really about justice in the end, and so we take them to task, and sometimes that means raking them over the coals. Sometimes to get inside their head, we have to get under their skin. So I'm provoking them to reveal themselves, and yeah, it's intense.
You're saying that your case is a conspiracy to change the laws in the Emirates?
Yes.
That's absurd.
But I think that's part of what makes the show interesting to the viewer.
I feel like you're thinking about somebody when you say that. Was there somebody that comes to mind when you think about intent?
Well, for example, we interviewed a serial killer in Alaska, Brian Stephen Smith. We were maybe 3 feet apart. This is a guy who was stalking and killing Native women in Alaska and filming it. He denies his involvement, even though you can basically see him on the videotape. And so I mean, it's just like pure psychopathy. There's like 0.0 empathy in some of these people, and so you just don't know what to put past them. But that's, as you know, as an investigative reporter, that's the price of bringing these stories to the audience.
So my biggest problem with getting to do this
Yeah.
is that I don't believe what they're telling me. It's so hard to believe that they're not spinning it for me.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
They're always spinning it. I mean, it takes about 100 hours to prepare for one of these interviews. We read every piece of trial testimony. we study every autopsy report, every victim impact statement, all the crime scene photos, the sentencing hearing. We read everything. And then our research director goes beyond the written record and documentary record, visual evidence, audio evidence, and basically does her own investigation of the person's background. Now, we can invoke things that a court of law cannot, right? Like past crimes or psychiatric history. So we hit them with all of that. All of that is fair game. And by the time I go in there, I know everything that is knowable. And so if they try and, confabulate or deflect, I have such detailed, deep knowledge, I can bring them back to reality. And so there's always a moment of truth where they realize, we know too much. And that's an interesting moment.
Yeah, because they're like, why did I do this?
Exactly.
There goes my appeal.
Some of them come to set up their next appeal. Some of them just, I think, as a function of ego, want to make themselves appear to be less evil or less culpable. Occasionally, we'll get one that really wants to bare their soul, and then it becomes a different kind of conversation.
And then it's
but more often than not, yes, they are there with an agenda, trying to spin their story, and we have to unspin it in real time.
Yeah, because you only have an hour.
That's right. Yeah.
So you just have to go in with do you have people working with you on the psychology behind this of how to actually get to that place quicker? We've studied law enforcement interview techniques. We've studied forensic psychiatric interview techniques. We're kind of a weird mix of the two. We're neither, Yeah, you're not going to say that you're a psychiatrist or a lawyer.
No. This is, first and foremost an exercise in journalism. And in the end, we have a lot of tough questions for them, and very little time to soften them up, so to speak. So yeah, we've sort of dialed in the formula. We're about to launch our third season. We've had, first-time confessions, and we're always trying to advance the story beyond what was publicly known, and very often we've been able to do that.
What do the victims say to you when they find out that you're going to go talk to the killer and it's going to be all over the news?
Well, we always engage the victims, the survivors of these crimes. It's a very important part of the formula. Some of them want to say their piece, and we offer them a platform for doing so. Some of them decline to talk about it, and we honor whatever they decide to do. We have other ways of paying tribute to the victim in the story. For example, that honor killing story, there was nobody really in the family that was appropriate to interview, because there are ways in which even the mother was believed to be culpable. So we used one of the young girl's diary entries, and did a beautiful montage of photographs against the backdrop of her own words. Sometimes we'll interview a friend or a church member who knew them. But we always, engage with the family and honor whatever they want to, however they want to treat it. This show is first and foremost about justice, and part of that is empathy with the victim community. So it is really in the DNA of the show. You'll see it in my lines of questioning, and when they choose to appear, it's a very powerful thing.
And what is justice to you?
Well, in this context, we're trying to, obviously, this is for the court of public opinion, not the court of law.
Sure.
In this context, I think, justice is shining a light into the dark reaches of the human mind, and opening a window into a realm in which inexplicable, incomprehensible crimes make a little bit more sense to the audience. And so, holding their feet to the fire is part of it. but really it is an exploration of the mindset and motivations behind their actions in the case.
So why? You want to know why they did it.
Yeah, exactly. We want to know why. Sometimes they don't know, you know. We interviewed a 30-year-old man who, when he was 17, butchered both his parents with a hammer in Florida. He's still trying to figure out why. And we sat there with him for an hour as he agonized, truly agonized over, you know, his own conduct. And so, you know, sometimes they reveal themselves. Very often they have to be exposed. And our approach is really dictated based on where they fall on that spectrum.
What do you do when you walk out of these places?
I'm useless for 48 hours.
Yeah.
All of us, we collapse. Because, you know, it just depletes you
Yeah, it does.
of everything. And then your psyche has to process it,
Right.
you know, which happens over time. Each one of these cases is the stuff of nightmare. Trust
Yep.
me, I've had some doozies.
Yep.
And you know, there are moments where I don't know how many of these I have in me. Certainly, like my team, you know, there are times which I thought they would kind of just tap out, you know.
Yeah. So I don't really hear this.
But I think, you know, we all sort of believe in the greater good of this, and you know, the audience has responded, and so yeah, we're committed to this next season and to doing it as long as, you know, we can do it with integrity and people want to watch it.
Last question. I could ask you 800 more.
Yeah.
And I still, but really, the evil that you have to see. Do you believe that people are evil?
I am convinced that people are capable of evil. I don't think people are born evil, but I think, and you know what I've learned in this is that most of these crimes, most of these murders, are not the result of a single decision. It's years and years of bad decisions. You know, I mean, how many bad?
Effect.
Yeah, right. How many bad decisions do you have to make to put yourself in a position where taking the life of someone else is even possible? You know, there is such thing as like heat of the moment, but even in those cases,
Right.
crimes of passion, you know, if you sort of reverse engineer it, you'll see that they are set on a path long before. And I think it's a fair term to use when, you know, when in the moment of the crime, they decide to take another life. It is the ultimate betrayal of humanity. And so evil could mean different things to different people.
Sure.
I personally don't believe it is a congenital condition, although I do think that there are a small percentage of people who are born without the empathy gene, and it predisposes them to
Do evil.
to do horrible things to other people. You know, more often we've encountered sociopathy, you know, some combination perhaps of nature and nurture, where a lifetime of bad decisions in some cases leads to the taking of another human life.
I do know what it feels like to go into those places and how scary it is, honestly. I think it's really important. I just think it's like this fine balance that you're trying to, that
Yeah.
line you're trying to walk.
It's a tightrope. Yeah, and feels like a high wire act every single time.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they ever get a hold of you? Or
Oh
do
yes,
you,
well
are
sometimes
they
I
talking to you
sometimes
now?
I get involved in the booking, you know, basically to persuade them to do the interview, and we talk over a Securus. You know what that is? One of the secure
Sure.
email systems.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of occasions where they try and after the fact withdraw permissions.
Sure.
And so I will get scathing emails from them after the interview, after it's clear to them that, you know, this didn't go the way they thought it was going to be. If any of them think this would be like an uncontroverted platform, they're in for a rude awakening. And,
Sure.
and we've had a lot of rude awakenings and a lot of blowback. But, you know, this is again the price of admission.
Do they try and stay in touch with you? Because no one in prison's guilty,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
So
right,
they're-
right,
I'm
right.
all new to them.
Right.
You know I didn't do it.
Right. Rarely, sometimes I'll hear from them, but it's more like venting. And, you know,
Sure.
if I don't engage, they kind of go away.
Right.
I'm sure that, you know, there are more than a few that I'm not their favorite person, you know. There's one guy who threatened to go to his grave to get even with us, that's no
sucks.
fun. But it kind of comes with the territory.
After listening to David, doesn't it make you feel like you're in the prison room with him? Drop a comment and tell me, would you ever switch places with David? Make sure to check out his new season of Interview with a Killer. It's out again on October 25th on Court TV. And meanwhile, please like this video and subscribe to Criminally Obsessed for the best in true crime.